Right, for the VOD, we are back again. This time, we are gonna do, what's his face? Lemmy? Lorem. It wasn't Lemmy at all. Lorem's good and bad ending. His is a little bit more complicated. But we'll get it done. Thank you, Brent. Hey, Jeff. So we are now 7 hours into the stream. We have finished the game with, like, all the way through. Like, we did 5 hours the other day, which will be the first VOD, where we did, like, the majority of the game. We got Remy's bad ending, and now we're kind of, like, speed running the other endings. And we got his good ending, we got the neutral ending, we got both of Anna's endings. So this VOD will just be Lorem's endings. He's got at least one long day that I know of, which is his second one. But yeah, a lot more reading. But there will be some breaks, because when my food's cooled down a bit, it is 11 PM for me, and I haven't eaten, so practice for GDQ. So this is all being skipped, that I can skip. And we're focusing on Lorem. Lorem. Alright. Yep, skip ahead. Boo-doo-boo-boo. Alright, meet with Lorem. So I gotta read all of this, so I apologise, but you're gonna have me reading again, and you know how bad I am. I went to the bar Lorem had suggested as our meeting place. When I looked around, I saw Bryce sitting at a table, talking to someone I couldn't see. I lingered on him for a second, but soon spotted Lorem in the corner of my eye. It's 5 PM here, you got another 7 hours easy. Shh! There you are. Hey, Lorem. Alright, so I've done this before, but we're not going to skip it because you guys haven't seen it. It's good to see you. I thought you might not show up. Well, I'm here now. Yeah, I can certainly see that. I'm kind of surprised you wanted to meet me here. Don't take this the wrong way, but are you even old enough to drink? What are you talking about? Oh, I see. I can assure you I'm a fully grown adult. My species doesn't get much bigger than this. Speaking of which, are you fully grown yet? How big do humans usually get, and how do you stack up comparatively speaking? Oh, and would you mind if I took some notes? Before we get to that, you haven't even told me yet what exactly all this is for. Are you sure you're not a reporter? If I was, Sebastian wouldn't have let me meet you in the first place. And I thought the uniform was just a clever disguise. It's real though, Sebastian knows I work for the local post office. Excuse me, but this still doesn't really tell me anything about why I'm here. You're a postman who wants to interview me, for what exactly? Sorry, I guess I got ahead of myself here. Maybe a full introduction is in order, and after that you can still decide whether you want to go through with this or not. Sure, go ahead. I recently graduated college with a degree in computing and moved in here with a good friend of mine. This town doesn't exactly offer the best opportunities to put my degree to good use though. Then why move here in the first place? Living in the city can be very expensive. I can always move later when I get a job there. I've got other plans right now though. I'm working on a video game. A video game? Sounds interesting. Exactly. Video games and computers are just starting to catch on in places like this town. Making good content would be very important to give a good first impression. And humans have always been part of our media, books, movies, and now games. With you on our side, this could be an amazing opportunity. Well... Oh, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. You're right about that. I can't help but feel a little deceived by this. Besides, your job has been really stressful, and you're probably already in the spotlight all the time. And now to top it all off, you got some postman harassing you for an interview. If you wanted to leave, I'd get that. Stay. Well, I'm already here and have nothing else to do, so let's make the most of this. Yes, thank you. At least I won't have to be so careful now. With a reporter, I'd have to worry about things being misinterpreted or being taken out of context. You should still be careful. What you tell me now will influence how your entire species will be represented in my game. Don't worry though, I'll treat this delicate matter with the required finesse. I'm sure of it. How should we do this? Let me think. Why do you want to make a game in the first place? I've always wanted to make a video game. I've had this idea for a while and it seems now is the right time to do it. It's almost as if you arrived at the perfect moment. I don't know. Don't you think my visit will overshadow your efforts? People might not be so interested in playing a game about humans anymore if they had a real one show up. Good point, but the vast majority won't get to meet you personally anyway. If I say I did and modeled the humans in the game after you, people will flock to get a similar experience. As long as it's based on the truth, you have my support. Awesome! Okay, but why focus on humans? What makes us so important? If there's one thing that people here love, it's humans. It doesn't matter if they just see them in the media or believe in them as mythical creatures. For me, humans were always real. I just didn't know whether I'd ever get a chance to meet one myself. I guess I can cross that one off the bucket list. Now that we're here, I can tell you that no expense will be spared to make our portrayal of humans as accurate as possible. I'm with you on this. For good reason, I just love humans. If you say it like that, it actually ends up sounding pretty weird. Besides, what if I turn out to be a horrible person? What would you think about humans then? It wouldn't change anything, because I wouldn't base my opinion of an entire species or on interactions with a single individual. Then what is your current opinion of us based on? Just the myths we have and the previous portrayals of humans in our media, but I suppose that's why I'm here talking with you right now. I want the truth and all of it. Telling you all of it might not be such a good idea. Oh yeah, I guess it would take a lot more time than we have today. Anyway, what's the actual game about? What do you do? It's a community simulation game. It all starts with a player character moving into a procedurally generated community, which is inhabited by all kinds of mythical creatures, humans included. Animal Crossing. Mythical creatures like humans. Not only are the towns you move into unique, but the inhabitants are too. There are a variety of traits that get randomized both in looks and personality. There are many things you can do, but it's very open-ended, and you can live your life there however you want to. Sounds like my kind of game. Oh really? I couldn't ask for a better compliment than that. What are the mythical creatures are there besides humans? I haven't worked that out yet, but humans alone gives us a lot of material to work with. How so? The question of the mythical human can be tackled in a variety of ways. There are many different interpretations of what humans are like. For example, in general, the mythical human can be divided into three categories. Firstly, the human as a physical creature. Secondly, the human as a non-physical entity. And thirdly, the human as a spiritual being. Let's start with the physical aspects. Sure, since one of our myths tells us that the human who created us eventually turned into a dragon, there's a lot of room for interpretation as to how similar humans actually are to dragons. I can see you don't have wings, but most of us are able to create fire in some way, or at least have a breath weapon. How about you? I can rub two sticks together to make fire, does that count? Not really. Having hands that are dexterous enough to do that is remarkable though. It is a bit strange though, because our myths also say they gave that ability to us. Interesting. Maybe it's meant to be taken literally, meaning that when that ability was given to us, you lost it. Or maybe we never had it in the first place. Humans are known to have created a lot of things out of nothing. After all, we only needed to discover how to create and use fire because we didn't have a natural ability to do so. We have a proverb that sums it up pretty well. What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. So a lack of natural abilities drove innovation forward. One interesting thought. Here's another thing. You may have many different images of humans, but in the end, only one can be right. It's also possible that what you've been led to believe about humans doesn't actually refer to us at all. Are you implying that you aren't human? No, I'm just saying that if you really had been in contact with humans before, as your myths apply, they would need to belong to the same species as me, and thus be very similar to myself. If they aren't, then either they weren't human at all, or have very different origins. So you say there's a possibility that our humans are your humans may be something different altogether? I suppose you are right in the way that our images of humans are very inconsistent. They certainly can't all be humans in the way that we would refer to a single species. The name should probably be reserved for yours. And we haven't even touched on the other two categories of humans. What do you call them again? Non-physical human entities and spiritual humans. What's the difference? Honestly, the definition gets a bit muddled here. Going by conventional belief, a ghost could be a human who has died and has changed into a different form. We would call this a spiritual human. An angel, on the other hand, would be classified as a non-physical entity. What do you know about angels? Angels basically look like humans with wings. Their existence in ancient scripts was used to lend some credence to the theories about humans having become dragons because of the wings. Exactly. But some of your dragon species don't have wings either. Yes, as I said, once you start delving into the kind of stuff, it all becomes very convoluted. When we met, you also told me something about a four-headed human. Right. With that, we'd go into the realm of creatures that just don't make much sense at all. Having four heads just seems unlikely from an evolutionary perspective. That might not really matter if we are talking about a non-physical entity or a spiritual being, though. So in the end, you have a lot of different ideas whose only connection to each other is that you use the word human to describe them in some way. Like the way we use dragon. We use it to mean a lot of different things. I'm gonna have some food. Give me a second. I should not be eating this late at night. And they share at least some basic characteristics. You fit those as well, by the way. What are they? You certainly are not a reptile like us, but you don't look like a conventional mammal either. We are mammals, though. Yes, but you're so different from other mammals we know that ultimately you are quite unique. We don't know any other sentient mammals. You've got a point now, I'll give you that. Strangely enough, we have plenty of human-like creatures in our mythologies as well. Oh, do tell. You already mentioned ghosts, but some other ones include dwarfs, giants, fairies, and Lemmies. Lemmies? Ugh. I think I've heard of most of these before, but what is a blemis? Essentially, a blemis is a human without a head. A human without a head, how does that work? How do they eat? Instead of a head, they just have all their facial features on their chest. That's a rather weird mental image. There are also a lot of half-creatures that share some characteristics with humans and other animals. Like mer-humans, sure. Lastly, there are creatures that are said to be able to shapeshift into human form. Strangely enough, some of our dragon myths said that they could shapeshift into humans, or that certain countries' royalty are descended from dragons. That would imply that they are genetically compatible with humans. Apparently. Sounds rather outlandish if you ask me. We certainly can't shapeshift like that. Suppose that's why they're just myths. Right, to be fair, we do have a lot of myths that seem quite out there as well, compared to what you're like. So face has nipples. That's what you took out of that, Jeff. Anyway, how come you know so much about myths? All part of being an ambassador. Not only did I learn about dragon myths in order to compare them to what you're like, but I also studied myths about creatures that are similar to humans so I could find out how similar they were to yours. Well, you're doing an excellent job so far, and it's bound to help me a lot with my game as well. You're going to put all of that into the game. Let's just say it gives me some excellent material to work with. I thought you wanted to give an accurate portrayal of humans, not just collect myths. One species will certainly be modelled after you, but that doesn't mean we can't introduce some variety with the others. People will love it if we also bring some of the more unusual myths to life, I see. But since we also want each of the normal human characters to be unique, I'd like to know how much variety there really is in the view species. I've seen Reza before, so comparing him to you already gives me a bit of an idea, but how far do these differences go exactly? When we arrived here, you asked me if I was old enough to drink. That leads me to believe that your average human must be a lot taller. That's true, you could say Reza would be about average for an adult. Not that it would be impossible to get a good deal bigger than him or even smaller than you, but those cases are rather rare and usually the result of medical conditions. I see. What about colours? Are there any humans who are blue like me? Not really. There is a certain spectrum of skin colours that can be lighter or darker, but so far I've seen a lot more variety in the dragons here. We do have quite a number of different eye colours though. Interesting. As for things that aren't immediately visible, we also have different blood types, but I assume you know about that. We certainly have those as well. Some people even believe your blood type influences your personality. That, on the other hand, is news to me. So, obviously, Jeff has the worst kind of blood. Obviously. Anything else you want to know? Phew, we already got so much. I'll have to think about it and how we can work all this into a game. Have you worked on any other games before? I worked on a few small projects during the course of my studies and also interned as a studio before. This is on a completely different level though. How so? It's my game, so I'm the one calling the shots here. It's a very different thing than just making a few graphics when you're part of a bigger team for sure. I see. How long exactly have you been working on this? Phew, it must be several months now. I've got everything planned out and a lot of the groundwork has already been done. The most difficult things are the characters themselves and to make sure all of the details are accurate, of course. Have you shown the game to other people yet? Sure, feedback is a very important part of the development process, so I regularly gather ideas and opinions from others. I even made a website to do this. And what do they say? All kinds of things really. Sometimes it's hard to decide which ones have a good point and which can be disregarded. Overall, it seems there are many people who are looking forward to playing my game though. How many are we talking about? I don't know exactly. The count on my website only tracks the number of visits, so I don't actually know how many different people there are. What if it doesn't work out? What do you mean? Well, you're investing a certain amount of time and money into making this game. Ideally, you would make back your investments and hopefully get some profit on top of that. If the goal is to make money, sure. However, I just wanted to try my hand at doing something like this. If some people are going to enjoy the end result, that's great. Don't forget that I also have made something that I can put on my resume. At the very least, it will have been a good learning experience. With that attitude, I suppose you really don't have anything to lose. I can always look for another job, and maybe I'll end up working at a game studio, but I think once I've started doing something like that, I might not get this opportunity again. So it's now or never, huh? In a nutshell, yes. And that all works out with your courier job. Sure, I can support myself this way, and I'm not really under any pressure, since I don't have any deadlines to keep. Seems like you know what you're doing. I'd like to think so. What kind of tools are you using to make it? If I consider what some of your species look like, I'm having a hard time imagining how the bigger ones could program a game. Well, we do have devices tailored to each individual species. I can't deny that my dexterous hands make it a lot easier compared to some of the others. One downside is that I have to keep my nails short, or else using the keyboard gets a bit cumbersome. I imagine you have to be careful with those while working as a courier anyway. You're right about that. One wrong move and you suddenly shredded a letter you're just about to hand to someone. That sounds unpleasant. Luckily, that kind of thing doesn't really happen to me anymore. Not only because of the short nails, but once you've worked there for a while, you just learn to be more careful. It's a bit sad not to have them as a natural letter opener anymore, though. And it's not just for me. Some people ask me to open their letters for them, since doing that on their own can be difficult for some of the less dexterous and older ones. Have you been working as a courier for long? I just got this job a few months ago, but I had a part-time summer job at the post office when I was growing up. My species is perfectly suited for the job, so they were glad to have me on board. I can see why. Of course, being able to fly is a big plus. My size means I can't deliver any big packages, but I often get assigned to urgent letters and have to be delivered as soon as possible. Hi, it's getting late. Maybe we should leave it for today. Yeah, I should probably head back to my apartment before it gets too dark. I got more than enough material to work with, thanks a lot. Maybe I could convince you to meet me again some other time. I'd like to get some pictures of you for reference. Alright, sure, here's my number. I can't thank you enough for doing this, you've been a huge help. Don't worry about it. I really have to get going now, so maybe I'll see you next time. Sure, ciao. Take care. Well, that was painless. That was super painless. He's at least nicer than Anna, that's for sure. I just need food and a hug. Well, I definitely needed food and a hug. I want my food. I need to go here. Thank you, Brent. I'm guessing I already have this. Search the pavilion 3 times. Gotta hope for the best. Second date's apparently a long one. For heaven's sakes, Jeff. I remember when you got me with that for the first time when you told me I had something on my face and I really panicked. Up until that point, you had been a nice one. Hello, I had some time to work through the stuff you told me, and now would be the perfect time to get some pictures of you. If you're not busy with anything else, it would be great if you could come over sometime. So see you soon, maybe. Now no cameras. There'll never be a camera now. You don't need to see this ugly mug and take a mick out of it every day. There you are, come in. So it turns out you've seen this before. Oh. Sure. Honestly, I can't believe you agreed to do this again. Probably my fault. It's my pleasure. Now that I've had a chance to work through everything from last time, we can do some real work. Sounds great. I did a staggering amount of research on mythical humans. Here, let me show you some of the stuff I found. Sure. We sat down at the coffee table. Lorem opened up a laptop and started to type away. Seeing the laptop brought back memories. In our world, they had become obsolete a long time ago. Before I show you these images, I should probably tell you that some of them are really weird. Just don't take them the wrong way. You already told me about the 4-headed human, so I think I can handle this. Alright. Nice. He looks friendly. This one is supposed to be one of our ancestors. Well, it does remind me of some of the dragons I've seen here, but I'm not sure what humans have to do with this. You remember the myth about our creator turning into a dragon, right? Yeah. Now here's an interesting question. What species does that human turn into? There are a number of dragon species nowadays that aren't genetically compatible with each other. Did the human choose one of them? Did they perhaps procreate? A shared ancestor is one option. This would mean that the different species split after the human's involvement in our creation. If human DNA was involved in some way, this might explain how our different species came to be. Take a far ancestor of ours and apply various amounts of human DNA. The results would be a number of different species, each with a different amount of resemblance to humans. Interesting. Now it's been said that an upright stance and being able to walk on 2 legs is a more human trait. Right. In any case, it's one of the things that makes humans unique. As a result, some people believe that a certain species share more traits with humans than others. They think it makes them more noble or something. Luckily, this doesn't happen often. You can walk on 2 legs as well, right? Sure, in this theory of shared human DNA, this puts me somewhere in the middle, since I still have wings and horns. I can see that. Here, look at this one. Oh, Jeff, that's you. They've got your picture, Jeff. What's with the little horns? Since we don't know what the original human looked like, we can't exactly define which traits separate us from them. As a result, our interpretations of humans can vary wildly. I'm not sure he's a particularly friendly one, though. Actually, I think this is supposed to be a human female. Interesting. There are some that don't think humans are friendly at all, though. Really, so far I've only heard positive things about us. Some interpretations of our myths don't exactly paint you in the best light. There are also people who oppose the idea of human worship and what their involvement has meant for us. In what way? They say the human interference was unnatural and that we need to get back to our roots. Oh my god, stolen identity. There wasn't enough sacks. There needed to be more sacks. And how do they think they can do that? Apparently it means refusing to use modern technology and living in caves or the wilderness again, like an animal. Pretty much. Most of us think these people are crazy, though. As long as they aren't hurting anyone. They're harmless, really. You probably won't see one of them around here anyway. This is an interesting style, though. Do you know how these pictures were made? Sacks and cigarettes. No, I'm sure the information was provided when I looked them up in the library, but I didn't copy all of that. And you're using these as references. I make do with what I can get. Maybe now you can see why I wanted your help, though. Alright, what do you need me to do? I just want to make some quick sketches. You can stand over there by the wall. Okay, I can certainly do that. I walked up to the spot he indicated. When I took my place, I saw that he had laid out a number of pens, paper, and other art supplies on the table. Oh, this is going to take a while, isn't it? I'll try to be quick about it. Do you want me to strike a pose or something? A T-pose would be good to get started. What's that? Just point your arms sideways so you look like a giant T. Oh, I get it. Raising my arms to the sides, I wondered how long this would take. Great, now try to stay as still as possible. Can I still talk? Sure, as long as you don't talk with your arms. As I wasn't allowed to move my head, I stared at Lorem sketching my figure. This went on for a few minutes until I suddenly heard the sound of a door opening. Oh, it's this dude. The one that wouldn't talk to me. Hey, Lorem. Alright, the human was going to visit today. I totally forgot about that. You don't mind if I take a seat, right? You just want to study Anna. Like you aren't doing that right now. Besides, this room is mine as much as it is yours. I'll just watch and be quiet. I thought you had experiments to run. And they are running. I'd rather not be confined to my tiny room for the next 2 hours, staring at the ceiling and waiting for them to finish. But no experiments on Anna. Yes, I'll just sit here and maybe take a few notes. I'm sorry, Anna. This is my roommate and longtime best friend, Ibsen. Study Anna. Hello. Nice to meet you, Ibsen. His scientific bluntness may be off-putting, so please bear with him. Speak for yourself. So much for these two being best friends. Lorem returned to his drawing, the silence only being interrupted by the strokes of his pen. Something interesting happened at work today. Did they finally figure out it was you who was playing all those pranks? No, they'll never catch me. I was talking with a colleague about the humans here, and I offhandedly mentioned that Anna was going to come over. I don't like where this is going. Some hours later, Anna barges into my office and says Anna is off limits to anyone besides her as far as tests and experiments are concerned. Well, I'm not taking any samples. I can hardly be blamed for just looking at Anna. Yes, but that makes me wonder. Anna, did you agree to visit her and undergo her rigorous testing regime? I did. Oh, good luck to you then. Oh, and Lorem, have you seen my Oxman sphere recently? Didn't you take it with you when you went to the park the other day? Yes, I did. Well, that's the last time I saw it. I must have lost it then. I already searched the whole apartment. Did you go into my room? No. Maybe someone found it. I had it registered in my name when I got it, so if anyone found it, it should show up sooner or later. I remembered the sphere that I had found in the park. I dug into my pocket to show it to them. Wait a minute, are you talking about... Hey, no moving around. Quickly, I extended my arms again to make a perfect T-pose. Sorry, I just found something in the park recently. It may not be your Ixum sphere. Where is it? Probably in one of my pockets. At these words, Ipsum got up and walked over to me. So much for just sitting quietly in the corner and letting me work in peace. We're talking about a very expensive piece of equipment here. Just give it to him, Anna. I searched my pockets and looked for the sphere to no avail. It's not here. So you don't have it after all. What kind of cruel joke are you playing here? I must have left it in my apartment. What a shame. I could fetch it after we're done with this. It would be better if you just handed it to the police. After all, we don't even know if it is my sphere that you found. Either way, the police should be able to verify it and locate its owner. Alright. What is an Ixum sphere anyway? It's just a glorified toy for grown-ups, really. You have no idea what you're talking about. An Ixum sphere is a very sophisticated tool with a countless number of uses. Like what? It can levitate and follow you around, take photos. You can even use it as a calculator, making it a glorified toy for grown-ups. I use it for my experiments. Well, if it can take photos, I wouldn't need to be standing around like this. That is, if we had it here now. It is a great companion for all situations in life. It's much easier to draw from a live model than from a photo, though. Easier for you, maybe. I hope this doesn't take much longer because my arms went numb a while ago. Yeah, I think you can relax for now. I'm nearly done with this one. A tingling sensation went up my arms as I relaxed. Slowly I began to regain feeling in them. Alright, now turn around. I thought we were done already. Not unless we want our humans to lack a backside. So that's what this is all about. You know what I meant. I know exactly what you mean. Is it my turn to draw you now? That's not how it works. I wouldn't mind getting a portrait of myself. I can already see it. The light shining from above, caressing my luscious mane, highlighting each lock as they interplay. This is going to be a long day. That depends on how fast you are. Can it be a poly relationship? What, you want these three? Yeah, I think it's a good threesome there. I like it, I like it. No, I think all the stories in this is very one-sided. It's a very simple story, was being very convoluted. So I'm just eating some more. Too much Dragon Dog is bad for you. Dragon Dong with care. As I was now facing the wall, I couldn't see what Lorem and Ipsum were doing. After a few seconds of silence, I heard some whispering coming from the couch. What are you talking about? I didn't want to be rude, but I was just curious about your vestments. He said, and I quote, "This would be more interesting when it wasn't for those clothes Anna is wearing." He's trying to stroke me, guys. Really? I'm just saying it would be hard to study an insect if there was a piece of cloth draped over it. Wearing that much just seems odd to me. If humans wear clothes like this, it's only appropriate to depict them as such. And my scientific curiosity shall remain unsatisfied. Because Anna is not here to do that, and you would get in big trouble with Anna. We actually have a pretty big variety of vestments. I could tell you about it. Sounds good, but not right now. I have to finish this up first. Alright, so Ipsum, I've heard a lot about experiments and science now, but what do you actually do? I work in the facility as a biologist with a minor in physics. In addition to the office, I also have my own setup here at home. I assure you, it's properly isolated from the rest of our apartment. It even has a fume hood to prevent accidents. Too much Dragon Dong has been proven to cause mood swings and back pain. Wow. but I only use it for the smallest of experiments, usually things unrelated to my job. Sounds interesting. Don't get him started, we won't hear the end of it. Maybe you would like to talk about your hobby instead, Lorem. Isn't this already a hobby? I guess you could say so. I was talking about his other hobby, though. Oh, that. I don't know, it's a little embarrassing to be honest. There's no need to be embarrassed about your hobbies. He likes flowers. What's even made a crown out of daisies? Cutest thing in the world. Don't listen to him. As usual, he only tells half the story. What's the other half, then? I have an extensive love for botany. The fern he keeps in his room must be the happiest plant alive. I find gardening to be very relaxing, especially when the birds are singing in the morning. It's so nice to go out there with a nice cup of tea and work in the garden of our apartment building. Most of Anna's reactions to me are wow, I must be a wowing person. You're my favourite, one of my favourite people. I love you to pieces, and you know I love you to pieces. Which reminds me, Ibsen here has quite an extensive tea collection, although I'm not sure if he prefers to hoard tea or gadgets. It's a mystery. I heard there was going to be a model of the Exium sphere that can actually make tea. That's going to be a must-buy. I'm weird. Can it also make cups, or are you supposed to sip out of the sphere itself? Don't be silly. You two sound like an old couple. Couple? Us? Not really. We've known each other for a long time though, if that counts. I think it does. By the way, Ibsen, you're not from here, right? What is that supposed to mean? Well, you look nothing like any other dragon I've seen here so far. I suppose that's true for Lorem as well. You're both pretty small. But you, Ibsen, also have hair. That's certainly new. It's not as unusual as you might think, but you're right, there aren't many of us in these parts. I imagine being smaller than the rest of the population would come with its own challenges. It's not that big of a deal. If something is unreachable for me, I can fly. This apartment was actually intended to house one dragon of a bigger size. That only makes it fairly cheap, but it's also big enough for both of us. There's one thing I've been wondering, how do you even sit in one of these chairs? Wouldn't the backrest cause problems with your tails? I see what you mean. For me, it's never been a problem because most chairs are bigger than I am. It's just a question of getting into the right position. However, this might be different from those of us who mostly walk on four legs, but they usually don't use chairs like these at all. I've seen a few try though. I suppose they want to imitate humans this way. Even if they can't stand or walk like a human, they can try to sit like one. With varying results. Some I've seen look really funny, trying to fit in. Hey G-Man! How's it going? How's it going, buddy? With varying results. Some I've seen look really funny, trying to fit in chairs they are too big for, singing in odd ways that clearly don't work with their anatomy. Oh yeah, and thanks Kudu Man for the 2,000 channel points to the boost. And G-Man. I see. Lorem, you asked me about breath weapons last time, but I don't think you ever told me if you had one. Probably because it isn't worth mentioning. It may only be very small before flame, but it can get very hot. What about you, Ibsen? Yes, Ibsen, what about you? My breath weapon is elocution, since words are more powerful than anything else. Same as mine, then. Alright, I'm done with this one. You can turn around. Really? But staring at walls is so much fun. Let's make one more. Maybe something dynamic. How dynamic are we talking about? Something that isn't static like the reference models I just did. You can strike a pose, something that's just you. Alright. What kind of pose should I go for? A thoughtful one. Alright, what about this? Works for me. By the way, did you get the groceries when you came home from work? Yes, just as usual. Are you too sure you're not in a relationship? I certainly am. Actually, Ibsen is deep in love with his home laboratory. Oh, really? I'm not even going to deny that. When I'm not working on something at the office, I do so here. What are you currently working on? I've been looking into the physics of teleportation. You're talking about the portal, right? Well, I don't have permission to even approach the portal, so I have to resort to a theoretical discussion on its mechanics and make do with what I can pull off in my home laboratory. Maybe I could tell you a few things. That won't be necessary. I've already read all the available test reports. Okay. Are you aware that using the portal could be incredibly dangerous? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Then you don't have a complete understanding of what the portal actually does and what it means for our world at large. In order for a portal to function, a natural wormhole is required. It is trapped and becomes the portal's entry. The portal manipulates the wormhole's exit. This way, something can be sent to whichever destination is chosen. Now there's a theory about the purpose of the natural wormholes in the universe. It states that they act as the support pillars of the space-time continuum. How so? How should I explain this? I think the video game analogy worked pretty well. Sure, in a video game, what happens when you meet the edge of a map? You hit a wall. That happens in some games, but in others, you reappear on the opposite side. Right. How does this happen? If our world was a perfect sphere, someone could just keep flying in the same direction, and eventually they would end up at the starting point again. Sure. This is just a result of physics and the abstraction of the video game. However, it doesn't work like that. They don't try to replicate a spherical world, but use a 2D plane instead. This is getting confusing. Imagine a piece of paper with a world map printed on it. Right. Well, it shows the entirety of the world. It's still just a simple flat piece of paper rather than a sphere, right? Sure. Let's assume that in a game, our world map looks like that. Now, what happens when we approach the edge and walk over it is that we are teleported to the opposite side. Okay. This doesn't actually make the game world a sphere, but rather a torus. A torus? You know, like a donut. If that's the comparison you want to make, okay. Now, things are going to get really complicated. This is why this is long, I'm betting you. Are you familiar with the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics? Let's say I'm not. It states that every single time a choice is made by any actor that possesses free will, the universe splits off into different branches. So the trousers of time, or whatever it's called. This means that for every choice you have made, there exists a branch of the universe where you made a different decision. I see. Now we can communicate with these other branches in Now, we can't communicate with these other branches in any way. You don't know what would happen if you had made a different decision just this morning. You could make an educated guess, but the only person who truly knows what would happen is the alternate you who has made that decision and is living its consequences. That is, unless we could communicate with those other branches. Thank you for the 2,000 points, Shazzy. However, there is a barrier that prevents us from doing that. This barrier is made up of wormholes. How does that work? It's very similar to the torus world model that is used in games. As we approach the edge of our own world, the barrier causes us to end up on the other side instead. Does this mean we get teleported to the other side like in the video games? Not necessarily. It would be just as correct to assume that our universe is shaped like a torus. So which is it then? Do we get teleported or not? That depends on how you look at the wormhole's function. Imagine the sheet of paper as the entirety of our world. You took a sheet of paper from almost a stack and showed it to me, marking a spot near the edge with a pen. And this is where you live. Unfortunately, your workplace is here on the other side. You drew an X close to the right edge of the paper. If the world was flat, this would be very unfortunate. However, if the world was a torus, the left and right edges would be connected. You could take the shorter route to work by going over the edge. Now let's say that this is only possible because wormholes connect these two edges together. If you happen to be right at the very edge and look beyond everything, would look perfectly fine for you. Given that these wormholes stay in their place, you would never know what the world is actually flat and that you can only travel to the other side because the wormholes connect the edges. You would think the world is a torus, right? However, what if the wormholes don't actually bring you to the other side by teleporting you, but instead just bend the paper into the torus shape and hold the edges together? If these wormholes failed or were displaced, the paper would unfold, throwing the world into disarray. That's what the wormholes in the barrier actually do. They are what hold everything together, so they're really more like glue. Oh, thanks for gifting the sub to Jeff, Shazzy. That's very kind of you. Jeff needs Zima, and he really does. If it wasn't for them, the overall construct would collapse in on itself. What construct? The entirety of space-time. Now, if these theories are true, that would mean using a portal damages the barrier. Each time the portal is activated, the wormhole used for the teleportation is displaced, leaving a small gap where it used to be. Do this too often, and the overall system will destabilize eventually. Alright, maybe you shouldn't talk about your theories about how the world is going to end. You have birthday money, so you're being irresponsible again. I hope you had a lovely birthday, though. Nothing's gonna happen because the portal was used a few times. I just hope humanity is aware of its implication. Maybe we can collaborate. I certainly hope so. Your researchers seem to know what they're doing. I just wish I could be part of it. With everything that's going on, the future looks incredibly exciting. What do you think is going to happen, Ipsum? Now you get him started. Don't say I didn't warn you. The knowledge contained within your PDAs can propel innovation forward by unseen lengths, meaning a lot more experiments for you to do, which would be terribly exciting. Personally, I'm more interested in the social implications. What do you mean? I don't expect it to just be a back and forth of ambassadors forever. Are you talking about colonies? Oh, I bet Lorem would jump at the opportunity to live in the human world. I'm not sure if that would be a good idea. Why not? Obviously, such an endeavour would need a lot of preparation. We would need to learn about the culture and adjust appropriately. I expect we'd send an ambassador over there long before that will happen, though. We hardly know anything about their world. Everything's still up in the air as far as diplomatic relations go. We have no idea what the situation could be like in just a week. Yes, and it's also incredibly exciting. Don't get too excited, though, or else you're going to ruin your drawing. It's almost done anyway. Here, what do you think? Lorem leaned over, holding up the paper to Ipsum. Ipsum looked at the paper closely, his gaze shifting back and forth between me and the paper several times. After a few seconds, he seemed to have finished with his evaluation. As a scientist, my professional opinion is that this part looks a little long. He pointed his sharp claw at the part of the paper Lorem was holding. Are you sure? Let me see. If I wasn't sure, I wouldn't have said it. I think you're right. That I am. Lorem reached for his eraser, purging a few lines of the paper before he switched to his pen again. Turn 21. And it's done. See, what would you ever do without me? I don't think I'd hear as many explosions in the middle of the night. You were happy about it when you forgot to set your alarm that one time. Humph. Suddenly the sound of an alarm resounded throughout the room. Oh, my experiment is done. And there he goes. Charming fellow, isn't he? He sounds fun. He certainly keeps things interesting around here, and he's a good art critic. 29, a boomer, 29. You know, not all of us are. It was the exact same beep as your microwave. Nice. I can imagine. Anyway, looks like we're done here. Phew, it feels good being able to move again. Would you like to stay for dinner? It'd be the least I can do for you to compensate for your lost afternoon. Let me see, what time is it? It's getting late and I probably shouldn't stay out this long. Looks like I'll have to decline for now. I see. Well, I'll go do something for you at least. It was my pleasure, minus having to stay still for the whole time. It was actually quite fun. How about I invite you again then? Sure, works for me. I'll think of something special. Just give me a call sometime and we'll figure out the rest. Sure, bye. Bye. Boop. Yeah, skip ahead. I gotta go to the police archives. And everyone would be happy to know we're rummaging through trash. Alright, here goes nothing. There doesn't seem to be anything useful here. I must already have that as well. Boop. I am not a childish idiot. I'm a fully functional adult. Completely functional. I do not think you're 13, mate. Hey, I function. Sometimes. Functional pinksit. Functional. She'd like that name. Here now, guess what? We're going treasure hunting. So put on a robe and your best treasure hunting hat and let's get going. Seriously, call me back when you hear this. Treasure hunting. Hey Lorem, hey Anna. So where exactly are we going? You mentioned something about treasure hunting, but don't tell me we're actually trying to unearth some ancient human artifacts. Don't worry, this is going to be fun. I just hope for the best. I'm not sure who came up with it, but someone gave this kit to me as a present a few months ago. He showed me the map. It was a piece of paper that had obviously been treated to look much older than it really was. Sounds like fun. I'm glad you agreed. I'm not sure if I can be much assistance though. I don't exactly know much about this area. But you're big and strong. Or at least you're bigger and stronger than I am. You can do the digging. Great. Besides, I've wanted to do this for a while now and Ipsum is always busy, so I figured this would be as good a time as any. Do we need to bring a shovel or do you expect me to dig with my bare hands? Well, the instructions say we only need this map and a pen. I've got a pen. Great, then we're all set. So where are we supposed to go? If this is the facility, then the place indicated is the school, or rather somewhere between the school and the administrative building. Let's go then. Here we are. The X on the map is right between these two buildings, so it must be around here somewhere. Back to school, huh? Not quite yet. Everyone's on summer break right now. Which is a good thing, because we really wouldn't want you to get swarmed by all the children. They would go crazy if they saw you. How does school work here anyway? Are you talking about this one or schools in general? In general, I'd like to know more about how your school system works as a whole. I see, you won't let a learning opportunity go by. I'm just doing my job. You should start looking for that treasure then, sure. While I looked for the hints as to the treasure's whereabouts, Lorem started talking. Right, we do have quite the education system. Different schools and districts run on their own, so when looking at details, things can vary a lot. However, there are a few things that are true no matter which region you are in. Compulsory education lasts for about 10 years. There are a lot of options for schools and school systems. Choice is an important factor here. We recognise that there isn't one system that works best for everyone, so there are many options depending on what path you want to take. It doesn't sound too different from what it used to be like in my world, but nowadays things are a bit more chaotic. Practical skills are valued most in our city, and you aren't really given a choice to do anything else. Sure, people can learn other things on their own, but it's not as if school is mandatory anymore. People just do whatever they feel like. Did you grow up to be like that too? No, I still got to experience our old education system, college included. What's your favourite subject? Really? Me too. I always like trying out different mediums. I tried sculpting again recently. What for? Art doesn't need a justification. But anyway, it helps me visualise what the characters in my game should look like. Can't you do that with a computer? With a pooter? Sure, but working with a physical medium makes things easier for me. Instead of working with an interface, there's only my hands and a lump of clay. No technological gadgets required. I see. Did you find anything yet? I sure haven't. No, I feel like we must be missing something. Maybe, but the map clearly marked this place. You can see it for yourself. Yeah, the X definitely points to this alley. Then it must be here somewhere. Examine the walls. Maybe it has something to do with the walls. What makes you think so? We're clearly missing something here, so maybe there is some sort of hint we'll be overlooking. Something that would be obvious. There's an X right there. Like, look at all these X's. Something that wouldn't be obvious to anyone else who came through here. I have no idea what you're talking about. These walls don't really look special to me. My gaze suddenly went along the walls, trying to figure something out that could... anything that could have a hidden meaning. Hey, look at that. What do you mean? That kind of looks like an X on the wall, don't you think? I guess so. Maybe it's here somewhere. Look, there. Lorem crouched down and stuck his hand in an indentation even. Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired. They ran along the wall near the ground. Aha! What is it? He pulled out the cylindrical, shiny object and held it up to me. It looks like some sort of capsule. Maybe there's something inside. That's going to be pretty small treasure. He screwed it open and held the two halves of the cylindrical object in his hands. To our surprise, it didn't have an empty space on the inside. Nothing could be hidden within. Instead, the inside of the two halves was engraved. What does it say? 2J. That's it? Yep, it's also on the other half. It might be coordinates. The grid on the map had numbers and letters like that. And that means 2J would be here, right in the middle of a forest. Let's go! Let's go! Finding our spot might be a bit more difficult from here on out. Why is that? We don't really have buildings and addresses as reference anymore. Here we only have a spot in the middle of a forest. Don't worry, I have an excellent sense of navigation. Let's hope we find it before it gets too dark though, or things might become a lot more complicated. I'd rather not get lost here. You don't have to worry about anything. If there are predators in the area, they'll see me as a better target than you. Don't tell me there are predators in these woods. Not really. There may be a stray or two, but that should be it. These woods are considered to be very safe. Even if that's true, and if worse comes to worse, you can just fly away. I guess that's true. You kind of sound like you don't like the woods, though. I like going for walks in the woods as long as it's safe. And you don't have anything to worry about here. I already told you there shouldn't really be any predators in these parts. And it's not like these woods are haunted or anything. Haunted? That reminds me of something. What is it? Maybe you'll be interested in this. In our world, there's a forest that was notorious for the many suicides that took place there. It was said to be haunted by angry spirits. That sounds horrible. But why are there so many suicides there, and why are the spirits so angry? Well, in Japanese folklore, people have a soul or a spirit that's called Raikon. Upon a person's death, the Raikon separates from the body and goes to a form of purgatory. After certain rites have been performed, the Raikon then goes on to join its ancestors and becomes a protector of the living family. However, under certain circumstances, like the rites not being performed correctly or dying in a sudden or violent manner, the Raikon transforms into a Yuri instead. The Yuri can return to the physical world and haunts it until it's been laid to rest. So there you go, another myth for your collection. Well, I know where not to go for my next vacation now. Jeff's birthday is the 13th of February, so it's next week sometime. Next Friday or Saturday? I don't want to visit either. That makes two of us. What do you think about stuff like that? Paranormal stuff. You know, until a few weeks ago, humans were still just a myth. And if we look at the portal, it's like something that came out of science fiction. Ipsum certainly seems interested in it. He is. He actually read up on some new theories about it. Like what? You remember him telling you about the different branches and how the barrier separates them, right? Yeah. So since the barrier is made up of wormholes and using the portal displaces them, it leaves gaps in the barrier. I distinctly remember him talking about something like that. Through these gaps, he thinks we can communicate with other alternate selves in other timelines. How does that work? It all goes into the nature of existence itself. It's getting close to our anniversary. Oh, you're getting excited. I don't know if he's doing anything for his birthday this year. I was briefly in his stream the other day. A year since I accidentally gave you a gift sub to Jeff, and now I'm stuck with you forever. Hell yeah, RimWorld. I only went because I saw he was playing RimWorld. I actually logged in on my way to work to see Pedguin's subathon. And I was like, Jeff's playing RimWorld? Sign me up for that. And now I'm stuck with you. If only I could go back in time and take back that gift sub. Who are you as a person? Do you think you are just the Anna from this branch? What about the ones from all the other timelines who have made other decisions? Would you consider yourself to be the same person as them? The only difference between you and the Anna from another branch may be that you decided to skip breakfast this morning. Maybe you are all of them. How is that possible? Like a seed from which many roots can sprout, or a tree and its branches, there may be a uniting factor that branched off into these different timelines, your fundamental nature. I see you getting obsessed about you again on stepping. I'm not going to. I didn't go to the stream this morning. He was streaming this morning for me, or maybe yesterday now. I don't know what time it is. But he was streaming, and I didn't get out of bed. I sat on my ass, and I watched Yogscast stuff. Because I was like, I'm gonna watch the Yogscast. You might call it a soul or something similar, but the idea is that even though there are many different versions of you, there is an aspect that unites all of you. A part of myself that stands over me, kind of like a superego. An interesting comparison. If we use a similar model here, then we can say that you are also made up of three distinct parts. In each timeline, you have a physical body which is driven by its own base desires that it seeks to fulfill. All physical needs like hunger, thirst, and even breathing fall under this category. However, as a being with free will, you are also capable of making your own decisions. That includes being able to act contrary to what your body is telling you. This ability to think and make decisions on your own is a rational mind, the self. And lastly, there's the third part I just talked about. One that stands above all of you and unites you in some way. Let's call this your higher self. Through this higher self, you may be able to communicate with your alternate selves in some way. Usually the barrier would prevent this, but through the gaps, communication becomes a possibility. The more gaps there are, the easier this should be. And how would I go about doing that? I suppose that would be a job for the higher self, so I can't control it. These are all just theories. We won't really know until it happened. Only then could we study it. If it was to happen, how would I know? If someone else experiences gets relayed through this connection to you, it could manifest in a number of ways. Maybe it could be something like deja vu or false memory, maybe even dreams. But the biggest difficulty would be to recognize this phenomenon is happening in the first place. It's certainly quite out there, you have to admit. Sure, but quantum mechanics are already complicated enough. Once you look at what lies beyond, it's just crazy territory. What do you think about all this? I think it might already be happening. Really? Just think about it. If the possibility of it ever happening is there, then it's more than likely that it already has. I'm not sure I follow. Let us assume that this is an average timeline. The portals have been found by both of our people, contact has been made, and now you and Reza are both here for a visit. A few letters were exchanged before you and Reza were sent here, so that means the portal has already been used a few times. Using a portal once might only have an infinitely small effect on a barrier, like poking a hole in a castle wall with a needle. However, if you multiply this by nearly infinite number of possible timelines in which these same events have happened, the effects must already be noticeable. Of course, some people may be more susceptible to this than others. Do you think you've already experienced it? I don't know. I've been having some weird dreams lately. Me too. Really? We were just entering a clearing, and from my view I could see some odd lines that had been drawn on the ground. Hey, I think this is the spot. Why do you think so? Well, the giant X on the ground kind of gives it away. Lorem took flight with a few flaps of his wings. After looking at the scenery from above, he returned to me. You're right, it does look like a giant X. Guess it's time to get our hands dirty. That may not be necessary. What are you talking about? He went to the center where the lines crossed and picked up the object that was lodged halfway into the ground. He returned to me once more, holding another capsule similar to the one we had found near the school. If we have to go back to town after walking all this way, I'll... And it's open. Apparently we're going to 6K now. And where is that? There's an abandoned store on the other side of the forest. That's where we're going. That just means the way back is going to be even longer. Are you sure we should even be here? This is the place indicated by the map. I was talking about the building being roped off. Maybe this is part of the game. Is the flooding part of the game too? Hey, you can give up if you want to. I certainly won't. Now, are you going to help me or not? I guess. I just didn't expect that I'd have to get wet for this. All part of being a treasure hunter. Let's just look for the X. Sure. Lorem flew up into the light fixtures to get a view from above while I checked out the shelves. It doesn't look like it's that high of a building, to be honest. I remember when we could still shop here. What happened? Apparently the area has a problem with flooding. I can see that. So much work and resources are needed to erect a building like this one, and in the end it just gets abandoned. We have plenty of empty buildings where I come from. Oh really? Not sure this is a good reminder of home though. At least we don't have a problem with flooding. I nearly got sent back, by the way. Really? Why? Political reasons. Oh, I don't think I'm supposed to talk about it. You just did. Is it related to that announcement they made about Reza? Maybe. I guess things are pretty serious. They are. Have you found anything yet? Not really. Maybe it's underwater. You think so? It's certainly not anywhere near the ceiling. I already checked there. And I found nothing near the walls or the shelves. It could be hidden beneath a floor tile or something like that. I suppose you're right. Let's do it. Alright. Without hesitation, Lorem vanished beneath the water's surface. I breathed in deeply, crouched down and began looking underwater as well. I looked around, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary to me. Just as we're about to resurface and get some air, I heard a splash, accompanied by a loud thud. What was that? Lorem? Everything was quiet as I looked around for my companion. Suddenly I heard frantic knocks coming from a shelf that was lying on the ground. Half submerged in the water, I realised it was still standing when we came in earlier. As I waded over to it, it soon became clear that the knocks were coming from beneath. Lorem? Quickly, I mustered all my strength and grabbed the shelf, lifting it up until it fell over to the other side with a loud splash. Lorem resurfaced, gasping for breath. What just happened? I was looking underwater and suddenly the shelf just come down on top of me. Are you okay? Yeah, I think so. My leg hurts a bit, but that's about it. Nice. I love your emotes. They're amazing, Shazzy. They are just as crazy as you are. Sorry, I ate the last of my corn dog. That was a really nice corn dog. Yeah, it was American Week in my store the other week, and I got a box of them. It's sad we don't sell them all the time. They're really nice. American Week's great. Some of the best food. The only one I like better is Spanish Week because it's got the chorizo pizzas. I've only ever had them once. I used to buy them from Farm Foods. Agreed. Chorizo is just so much better. They used to do like really weird pizzas for absolutely everything. Like every theme that we had. Like, I really like the kebab pizza they do for Greek week. That's a good one. Yeah, I think so. My leg hurts a bit, but that's about it. But I totally saw something. Let me show you. Without waiting for a reply, Lorem dove down into the water again, resurfacing just a few seconds later, holding an ominous metal box that had a large X on it. This should be it. Let's hope it's waterproof, though. From the looks of it, it is. We should go outside though. It'll be hard to read anything in here, sure. Domino's used to use chorizo pizza. Nice. I remember they did the hot dog stuffed crust. I love that. And the double decadence. I'm so upset that they got rid of the double decadence. Well, what's inside? Lorem held up the box to me. I took one of the sheets of paper that were inside and started reading. I think these are pizza vouchers. Talking about pizza, Lorem was holding another sheet which he started reading aloud. Congratulations, you have solved Pantoli Pizza's annual treasure hunt. Remember the code word enclosed for an instant rebate on your next order and a chance for the grand prize. You could be the lucky winner for a year's supply of Pantoli's Pizza. This competition will run until... Oh. What is it? It's expired. The treasure hunt, the contest, apparently it all ended months ago. Can we still get the pizza? Well, I don't think that the offer is still valid. I mean, we could still get pizza regardless. This whole thing has made me really hungry. I suppose this concludes our treasure hunt. What do we do now? Maybe we could see the experience as another reminder that the journey is its own reward, or that the early bird gets the worm. You really want some pizza, don't you? That makes me wonder though, why didn't they get rid of the hints in this box when the contest expired? They must have realised that people may still have these kits at home, even when the contest is over. People went out looking for the hint in the woods, and it wasn't there anymore. They might look for hours until they decided there was nothing to find. Or I just didn't care. You know, I'm slowly starting to lose hope in Pantoli's Pizza. Sending us here is really negligent. I'm gonna give up with words. If I say them wrong, I don't care anymore. I'm tired. I want to get this whole thing over with so I can go to bed. Who knows what would have happened to you if I wasn't here. Maybe this whole building could crash down on the next unlucky people who end up here. Maybe that's why it was roped off in the first place. But you thought it was part of the game. Maybe they should have put up a sign or something. I love those emotes. Whose emotes are they? X2G. I love them. While I was talking, Lorem walked towards one of the wooden poles that was used to rope off the building. He picked up a large rectangular object from the ground that was hidden in the grass. It was a wooden sign. Warning, do not proceed past this point. The treasure hunt was concluded, and there is nothing more to find. Danger ahead. We could find the treasure, but not this huge sign. What does that say about us? I'm not sure exactly. We should probably head back before it gets too dark, though. We still have to go through the woods again. Oh my god. Lorem almost died for expired pizza contest. Does that technically mean Lorem is you? Because I can see you not only nearly dying for these vouchers, but then taking them in and demanding that they honour the voucher because you nearly died. Be like, look at my boo-boo on my leg. Give me a pizza now. Alright, let's go. Do you want to pick up some pizza on the way home? I don't know. I don't know. Time for pizza, yes. We're rioting, guys. We're rioting. Oh, it's you. Can I help you? Yeah, I'm working with the police and I hoped you could answer a few questions. Because I responded to your call for witnesses about last night, right? Yes. Alright, what do you want to know? Can you tell me what happened? Sure, I was running an experiment in my home laboratory and waiting for it to finish. Around 2 AM, I suddenly hear a few bangs outside. They reminded me of small explosions. It sounded like they were coming from just around the corner. I see. Did nothing about this seem unusual to you? You don't want pizza, though. What about a cheeseless pizza? Not really. I know I've caused a few similar disturbances for my experiments before. If someone else decided to take up home experimentation, they certainly have my approval. Besides, I wasn't in any position to abandon the experiment that was running at the time, or else it could have had a similar outcome. Thank you. I think that will be all. No problem. By the way, are you going to meet with Lorem again anytime soon? I don't know. Why are you asking? You've hung out with him a few times now. You see, he doesn't have many friends, and I think he's starting to like you. That's not really unusual. It's just, if something happens the next time you meet, don't be mad at him, okay? Okay. Oh. There's melted cheese at Sean. He doesn't like melted cheese. Hey, it's me. Do you want to meet up again? I know you're busy, but the summer festival is coming up soon. I'm not saying we should go, but we certainly could if you want to. In any case, call me back when you hear this. Hey, Lorem. So this is where you live. You already got a glimpse when you delivered Rez's letter, remember? Yeah, but back then I didn't really notice anything. I was nervous. Why are you nervous? Well, there was the fact that I was going to speak to a human. Plus, I didn't know if you'd actually listen to what I had to say. And I also wondered if I was going to remember everything I wanted to tell you. Or worse, if I'd get thrown out again, like when I talked to Reza. You actually talked to Reza? Well, not really. He just took the letter I had for him and closed the door, but that was before you arrived here. Do you know who sent the letter? It came through the portal, so I assume it was from a human. I see. Oh, that must be the sphere you found. Lorem walked up to the table and picked up the round object he found at the park. Yeah, maybe you can help me find out if it's actually Ipsum's or not. Sure. It looks like it has no battery, though. He turned the sphere a few times and placed it on the base and plugged it in. You have assembled the Ixiom sphere. Actually, it was Lorem. This should be his achievement. Wow, game, wow, it's my achievement. I found it. He touched the base in a peculiar way. In response, writing appeared on the sphere's surface. Looks like this really is Ipsum's sphere. He'll be relieved to know that it was found. So what can we actually do with it now? Nothing really, unless you know the password, that is. Well, that's a shame. I do happen to know his password, but that's only for emergencies. No playing around with the sphere then, got it. By the way, did you hear about Ipsum? Apparently he's become a witness for a murder case. Yeah, I actually took a statement about that not too long ago. Really? Oh, does that mean that this has something to do with Rez's disappearance? You watched a YouTube vid. What YouTube vid did you watch? There's really no use denying it by this point. How long have you been helping the police anyway? Since the day of my arrival, really. Oh wow, I guess that explains why you've been so busy. It was about Gravity's Fall. Nice. I imagine you can't talk about it though. I don't really care anymore. Besides, I think it's become common knowledge by this point. You're trying to find Reza, right? Wasn't he your friend? Not sure I'd call him that. Still, he was supposed to be your partner in this, and now he's just gone. I'm more worried about what he's doing now. Even if we find him, this may put our diplomatic relationship in peril. I guess I shouldn't talk about stuff like that. Why not? It's no use worrying about things I can't change. Right, just focus on the things you can. That's my philosophy. You know, it's a bit of a shame you didn't want to go to the festival. I already had my fair share of adventure the last time we met. Besides, I should probably lay low for now. You're right, the crowds would probably go crazy if they saw you. We could still watch the big fireworks show together, though. We wouldn't even need to go to the festival grounds to do that. Sure, if you like. It only takes place at the end of the festival, though. When's that? A few days from now. You've been here a few minutes and already want to schedule our next get-together. Get-together? That's an odd way of phrasing it. Would you prefer to call it if I called it a date? I don't know. I honestly sometimes look at the chat and see the things that Jeff writes and I'm like, what? What is going on? This is one of those times. So Jeff's learned how to twerk. That's what we've learned today. It just seems a bit odd to me, considering this all started with me begging you to meet me so I could draw pictures of you. We did that, and then we went treasure hunting, which was your way of saying thanks. What would you call what we're doing here now, then? Dinner. I invited you for dinner. I'm not seeing anything to eat here, though. Right, that's because I wasn't sure about what's in the kitchen. I also don't know what you like, so let's just order something. There are a few places nearby. Do you have anything in mind? Not really in the mood to try something new. Sure, how about pizza? Sounds good. Remember to save your game. Alright, let's just call Pantoli's then. They already let us down with the treasure hunt. Why do you think this would be different? They're the closest and I haven't ordered from them in ages. Maybe for good reason. If they can't even get the treasure hunt right, I don't want to know what they do to their peaches. It's just a pizza, Anna. How bad could it be? I'm really, really salty about this treasure hunt. This treasure hunt hurt me. Here you go, Brent. I saved the game a couple times. Alright, if you want to vouch for Pantoli's, go ahead. Lorem took the sphere from its base and started to manipulate its interface with his fingers. What are you doing? Looking up the menu. I thought using Ipsum's sphere was only for emergencies. If they burn the pizza, I swear to God. He went into my room when he was looking for the sphere, and he isn't allowed to do that unless it's an emergency. It's the least he can do, considering you found it for him. Alright. If you don't want pizza, I can just put it back and we can order something else. You already touched the sphere, it's too late to put it back now. Someone check on Brent. I think he's broken. If you say so. Let's see, even the smallest pizza is going to be pretty big for me. We could share one. Sure, what toppings would you like? I think I'll go with salad. I'll take that as well. Are you sure? Let me see what else they have. Alright, what would you like on your half? Salad. Really? Alright. And it's done. The order has been placed. A salad pizza. Jeff, how do you feel about a salad pizza? For the next 30 minutes, Lorem showed me many of the other and less useful features of the Zeum sphere. He made it levitate, showed me a primitive-looking website, and even used it as a voice modulator. I'll get it. Lorem got up and walked to the front door. From my place on the couch, I couldn't see anything, but I heard a bit of talking before he returned to me carrying the square box. The fly who just delivered this, I actually know her. I guess it's unusual for you to know each other. Your jobs are pretty similar. I suppose something's never changed in this town. Lorem opened the box and showed me the pizza he had ordered. Memories of days gone by raced through my head. I make BLT pizza. That sounds nice. Malfunctioning. Alright, let's get this party started. Don't we need more people for a party? With pizza, anything's a party. I feel like I haven't had pizza like this in ages. What are you waiting for then? I took one of the slices. On its surface there was an obvious layer of grease that was sure to stain anything it came in contact with. What do you think? It's been way too long. Guess you don't mind that we got pantolis now, huh? With these words he grabbed one of the slices on his half and bit into it. After chewing a few times his expression suddenly twisted into a scowl. Is something wrong? Now I remember why I haven't ordered from pantolis in a while. Their pizza sucks. It's not that bad. Maybe you just haven't had a good pizza to compare it to. Hey, still better than nothing, I suppose. By the way, how's your game coming along? I don't know. I feel like I've hit a wall. Why is that? Maybe I've got it over my head, you know? The more progress I make, the more it becomes apparent I'll need a lot more help than I thought. So far, you're the only one who's been working on this, right? Yep, but I've started to realise that it won't work out if I continue like this. Hey, fictional! Why not? Lorem forgot to save the game. Oh my goodness, Brent. It would never be done. Or if it was, it would be very different from what I'd like it to be, so something needs to change. I suppose I'm just worried because once you start involving other people, things get a lot more complicated. Cook crust plain, cook bacon on the stove top, chop lettuce and tomatoes, put mayo on pizza crust after it's cold, chop bacon, put with lettuce and tomatoes. You had me at mayo. You had me at mayo. How so? I've always been the odd one out, so I'm not sure how well I could work with a team. You have to find people, work out how to pay them, and how to divide their work. I guess I'm just starting to realise what kind of investment this would actually be. You sounded a lot more optimistic the last time we talked about this. Yeah, it's all fun and games when you're just thinking about ideas that you could turn into a game, but once you actually start working on it, it's a completely different story. At some point, it just becomes another job. Isn't that what you expected? Of course it is. I knew it would be a lot of work, but I guess I'm just not sure if it's all worth it. It depends. How did it go? You don't have to tell us, but you alright? Everything go alright, fictional? That depends on why you're making it in the first place. Last time you said that you had nothing to lose either way. Well, maybe I was wrong about that. I do have something to lose. What's that? Myself. I'm not sure if I'm ready to do what is necessary to finish what I started. If you think about it, what's the worst that could happen? Investing a lot of time and money only to end up with nothing in the end. I could end up disappointing those who play the game, those who collaborated with me, and lastly myself. That's what you're worried about. See, I told you she would be. Well, I kind of told you she would be. I'm happy it went well. That's what being creative is like. If you put tons of work and effort into something, you want people to like it, right? If that's not what's going to happen, why do it in the first place? But you're not doing this for other people, are you? It's your game and your idea after all. Right, but you're not trying to cater to someone else, so what other people think is not important. Besides, what they think is outside of your control anyway. Just look at what happened with pantolis. Why do you think their pizza sucks? They probably cut off a lot of corners during production, and with the ingredients, they value quantity over quality and are only trying to get as many pizzas out as possible to satisfy demand. They are cheap and the pizza tastes like it. Okay, but they are still in business, so this must be working out for them somehow. Even if you don't like it, they are offering something other people clearly want. They probably don't give a damn about whether or not you like the pizza. I'm sure they don't. They just give people what they want, and that's why they stay in business. Are you saying that I won't be successful if I don't cater to the others? No, I'm saying that unless being successful is the goal, you don't need to cater to anyone else. Because if you did, you would end up like Pantoli's, and you really would lose yourself. I guess you have a point. So what if other people like their greasy pizzas? That's not what you want to do. Certainly not. You said yourself that your philosophy is to focus on the things you can change. So what are your options here? A wise person once said, do or do not, there is no try. Not doing this has never been an option for me. Then you make the most of it and nothing else matters. I think you're right. I should just focus on getting things done as best I can. Who knows, maybe you're wrong about Pantoli's. Maybe they're actually a big family restaurant with a rich tradition and history, and that's why people like them. No, I think it's because they have cheap pizzas. Anyway, it's a good reason for my anxiety. I usually keep to myself, and that's always how I've worked best. It is one thing that life has taught me, is that people fear what they don't know. I guess it's an odd thing to say when humans are worshipped by many. Most of them don't actually know any humans, not like I know you. Maybe I should rephrase that. People are afraid of what they don't understand. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. You know, it can be pretty tough when you're growing up and all the other kids are always bigger than you are. Luckily, that was never a big problem for me. Even in kindergarten, we get told not to make fun of our differences because of how different our species are. It's just odd that for a society that celebrates our differences, there are still things that are too different even for them. When I grew up and I went to college, I thought that people would know better than to continue doing those horrible things, but I was ultimately proven wrong. Their bodies may have been those of adults, but their hearts had stayed in the same place they were a decade before. Working on my own has helped, but that is treating the symptom, not the cause of the problem. I can't always just run away, and I'll have to step into the limelight and brave the storm again if I want to finish this game. There's something about me that you don't know. In a way, I owe it to you to tell you, because you're going to find out sooner or later anyway, and when it happens, it should be on my terms rather than someone else's. What is it? I'm a hermaphrodite. I was born with both sets of sex organs, and before you ask, there's not something that is at all common in any other dragon species. In the eyes of some, that makes me a freak of nature, something that needs fixing or shouldn't exist in the first place. You don't? Sure, some people may think that it's odd, but I don't really care. What are you guys going on about? Yoda? It's just another part of who you are. Thank you. That's such a big relief. You know, it's not always the bullies who go after me once they know. Too often it's also been people who I thought were my friends. So whenever I meet another person, I have to prepare myself for this conversation, not knowing whether they will suddenly turn against me when they find out. And the reactions can be very different. Some get angry or make fun of me, others feel betrayed and don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. Oh, I'm beyond actually understanding what I'm saying anymore. I am just literally reading, and it's not going through my brain at all. My brain is not geared for this. By now I think I've seen it all. I'm so glad that you're not like them, but it's always a gamble. Maybe the next person I tell is going to become violent. we have to learn the ways of the Force. Sean, I'm surprised you're even still here. I mean, Candy's streaming. I'm sure Cherry's somewhere for you to bother her. The fact that you're still here surprises me greatly. How can I put myself out there when this could happen wherever I go? You know what I mean? What will people do when they find out about me in my game? I just don't know. Terry's at work, actually. I mean... Being in only one place at a time. Sean's always in about 7 places. And hey, Herbals, how's it going? I feel like I'm never gonna get to the end of this fucking story. His stories feel like they're going on even longer. Oh, thanks for gifting the sub to Herbals, Nanas. Everyone gets emotes today. Everyone. That's what I'm worried about. I only wish there was a place where I could be safe from all of that, where it just wouldn't matter that this is who I am. If someone like you, someone with a place of authority, said something, maybe they could change things. I know you can't interfere with our politics though, you're an ambassador. Doesn't mean I don't have hope that something like that will happen one day. I should probably go now, it's getting late. You made me feel a lot better though. You told me not to worry about the future, and maybe you're right. Sure, there's still a lot of work ahead, but maybe it's not as hopeless as I thought. It never is. Hey, do you still want to see the fireworks show together? Sure. Alright, just give me a call in a few days so we can discuss the details. I'll do that. Alright, I'll see you then. See ya. Oh. Boop. Boop. Sebastian's dead in this one. Oh, you're all petting Scooby. This is the last thing I'm doing tonight, yeah. It's time to go. I still have the that was completely wrong. Papa's probably happy about that. Yeah, I've just got to do the 2 endings now, and the only difference is this bit. That's why I just saved the game, is because one you take the sphere and get the good ending, and one you don't and you get the bad ending. I believe. Is that the way around? Bad ending, don't take it. So we'll do the bad ending first. Oh, I still have Ipsum Museum sphere. I could give it to Lorem when I meet with them. Leave it. It's probably not the best time to take it with me. I'll give it to Ipsum some other time. Having gathered my things, I headed out to meet Lorem. After a few minutes of walking, I arrived at a rather empty-looking area near the edge of town. Hey, Lorem. Hey, Anna. You were right. This will be much better than mingling with the crowds. I can do without all the extra noise and screaming. Yeah. So what are we going to do now? Wait. I think it's starting. Look. We were quiet as we waited, and the stillness of the night enveloped us. Soon I heard the sound of the first rocket, blah blah blah. Fireworks, fireworks, meh 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 meh. Bang bang bang. Boom boom boom. Then I decide everything's gonna go wrong. What's going on? I know where Reza is. Really? We need to stop him. What do you think I can do? He's twice as big as I am. And let's not forget about his weapon. I can try to hold him off. You go and get help. Alright. Where is he anyway? The underground building. Let's go. Happy New Year's. I'm worried about Brent. Maybe I can. Blah, 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 blah. This is all gonna be the same. Won't let me skip it. But I've read all this. Stop blowing up chat. I'm sure that's a completely different colour again. My first instinct was to run, but as Maverick and Lorem started charging, so did I. Lorem charges as well. Reza was quick with his aim and shot at Maverick until he went down. Lorem took flight with a few beats of their wings and was about to collide with Reza, but at the last moment Reza got out of the way and hit Lorem with a well-aimed kick. In an instant, Reza was aiming at me. I quickly dove behind a box with a generator for cover just before he pulled the trigger. While I was unharmed, a loud hiss suddenly started emanating from the box. I knew what was going to happen and quickly started running towards the exit. Just as I reached the outside, the explosion battered my ears. The shockwave sent me flying briefly before I roughly collided with the ground. My vision blurred instantly and all control left my body as I slowly closed my eyes. There's a gun pointed at you. It's pointed at you again, G-Man. Pet VIP. You didn't pet the VIP. You shot it. What the heck did you do to the portal? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Why can't I use it then? And what happened to the coordinates? The dragons don't know that much about the portal, so it must have been you or that girl. You better give me something, or else I have no reason to let you live. It was her. Who is she? I don't know. They must have sent her through after you. The only question is why. You were the one who suddenly vanished. Maybe that's why they sent her. I had my plan, and humanity was fine with it. You must have told them something that changed their minds. Fictional sat here acting like I'm her favourite streamer, and then she shoots me. She's over there shooting me. I haven't been in contact with them since the day I arrived here. I've got nothing to do with her. I just wanted a diplomatic solution. That was the fucking plan. You weren't supposed to know anything about what I was doing. If humanity knew, why would they send her then? That's what I've been asking myself. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really matter anyway. She is the only one who knows how to use the portal again. And now that you've killed her, we're both stuck here. You've got something to do with this, or else you wouldn't be so fucking smug about it. No, I just like seeing you fail. Stop denying it. You're gonna fix this right now, or I'll find ways to make you talk. Nothing you can do or say will change what's coming now. What's that? Turn around. Reza glanced back over his shoulder, just in time to see Maverick running towards him. He turned around, aiming his gun in Maverick's direction. Before he could fire, I grabbed his hand in an attempt to disarm him, but in a scuffle, a shot went off, and I suddenly found myself in a world of pain. I collapsed to the ground, still holding the gun. Maverick pounced and pinned Reza to the ground with all his weight. What are you going to do now, Reza? Not so strong anymore without your weapon, huh? The voices faded as I watched the sky. I was calling my niece Elmo today. She was not happy with me. My vision turned red, making it look as if the stars were bathed in a sea of blood. I resigned to my fate as I closed my eyes. Reza was apprehended and taken to jail. As communication between our worlds was no longer possible, humanity never learned of our fate in this timeline. They had decided that if our visit did not yield any results, they would no longer try their luck with the portal, and instead use their remaining energy to hold on as long as they still could. It was an uphill battle that was eventually lost when the city ran out of resources and fell. Reza warned the dragons of the comet and its danger, but without the generators from the underground building, the plan to redirect it ultimately failed. Oh, we're so close to the end. Yeah, everyone died. That was like the third or fourth time that everyone died. I wouldn't know. I didn't get to the end of Rogue One. I didn't like the movie at all. What happened with that? No, but we slept with Anna. Not even kidding, she every character. Well, I definitely wouldn't like it. In a different one, since you've gone, we've done the good ending for Drakbar. We've done both of Anna's endings, and we've done the neutral ending as well. So this is our 5th ending tonight. And then this is going to be the last one. And we'll take the sphere. The sooner Ipsum gets it, the better. I took the sphere and put it in one of my pockets before I headed out to meet Lorem. Anna does Anna. Yep. After a few minutes of walking, I arrived at the rather empty-looking area near the edge of town. Hey, Lorem. Hey, Anna. You are right. This would be much better than mingling with the crowds. I can do without all the extra noise and screaming. Yeah. So what are you going to do now? Wait. Oh, I also bought Ipsum's sphere. Maybe it can finally find its way home. Great. Would you mind holding on to it, though? I don't really have a bag or anything to put it in right now. That's alright. Just remind me to give it to you later. Sure. Right. It started. Boo. Wait a minute, give me the sphere. There you go. I watched as Lorem took the sphere from my hand and slid their fingers over his interface in a peculiar way. After a few seconds, they were done and the sphere was back in my hands. It might not help you much, but if something goes wrong, just throw it at him. Alright. Where is he anyway? The underground building. Blah 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 blah. You know what? I'm not having this conversation with you again. What are you talking about? Your plan, Reza. I know all about it. Great, then stop wasting time and help me with this. I'm not here to help you. This is where it ends. What is your problem, Anna? You know about the comet, so we can't stay here. Just shut up, Reza. I'm not in the mood to talk with you anymore. I don't need to, because your friend has just arrived. Suddenly, Maverick and Lorem appeared next to me. You planned this, didn't you? Traitor. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Lorem collided roughly with the wall and fell to the ground. Remembering Lorem's words, I took the sphere and threw it towards Reza as hard as I could. At first it looked as though it was going to miss, but the sphere adjusted its path and flew straight towards him. Reza aimed at me, but the sphere hit him before he could pull the trigger. He lost his balance and stumbled backwards before he fell to the ground. As he got up, I saw that the barrel of his gun was now bent out of shape. When he realized this, he bolted towards the exit. I tried to stop him, but he hit me in the face with the gun's blunt end and ran past me. It took a few seconds till I composed myself and ran after him. As I went up the hill, I saw that Reza was already taking his place while the portal did its starting routine. I ran up to the console and entered a few commands. Reza turned around and saw me. What are you doing? Reza walked off the platform, but I quickly ran around the console and threw my weight against him, just in time for the portal to start teleporting us. Lorem lived to tell the police what had transpired in the underground building. The conversation they had overheard was enough for the dragons to find out about the comet, and with the help of the portal's power source, they were able to divert it. As neither humanity nor the dragons knew where Reza and I ended up, our visit was considered a failure. Humanity had decided that if our visit did not yield blah 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 blah, yeah, alright, that's the same. For the dragons, life went on as usual. Before our city, this outcome meant they had to continue their fight on their own. It was an uphill battle that was eventually lost when the city ran out of resources and fell. So only half of everyone died, yes. To be fair, the humans kind of deserve to die. You know? The Dorgons got to live, the people died. The people were in a shit position because of people being people. Gee man, this dragon was making a computer game. Like, he was literally making a computer game. The dragons would have computer games. Probably lots. At this point in the story's history, humanity had no computer games. They have the Mario. Dragio? Drakeo. They have arcades. We have artwork to prove that. Again. No, we're gonna come back tomorrow. As I said, we're gonna do like a couple hours tomorrow before I go and hang out with my friends and play some board games and stuff. Do they have finished Car Simulator? I don't know. I don't know the gaming lore of the dragons, but I know humanity at that time didn't have it. Mid-defeated, they have my summer... They have Wingish Car Simulator. There you go. Let's get a peek at the gallery now. We reappeared on the other side and collapsed to the ground. It was the day of my arrival in the Dragon's World, just as I had planned. What the fuck is going on here? Oh, look at what the cat dragged in. You're supposed to be dead. Am I now? You're right, but today's not the day. She held up Rez's head and punched him. His body instantly went limp as he fell unconscious. Good job, Anna. Oh, is that yours? She pointed at an object on the ground behind me. When I turned around, I realized it was a Xeon sphere. Whatever setting Lorem activated had apparently prompted it to follow us, even through the portal. Not exactly. You better hold on to it regardless. Those things are expensive. She walked over to Rez's lower half and started lifting him by the legs. Come on and help me with this. We've got a long night ahead of us. Step, 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 punch. I've seen Lorem's good ending. So there. Look. Things are starting to look better. So, we did Remy. We've got Remy. There's the goodest boy, Remy. And we did Anna. There's the cunt Anna, because she's a fucking cunt. And there's good boy Lemmy. Where's the... There's a bad ending. We haven't got the bad ending yet. And then that's Old Man Ice Cream. And that's Kevin in his arcade. And this is where I'm ending the VOD, because I'm going to go bed, because it is late. It is nearly 1 AM, and I should not be awake at 1 AM. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be back. I've called him Lemmy about 20 times tonight, fictional. I am very, very tired. I'm very, very close to being... No, I'm now physically... I've been up for 24 hours. I am extremely tired. Brent! I woke up at like midnight last night. And it's like 10 to 1. I'm so tired. But we got there. Right, that's the end of the VOD. VOD gone. Bye, VOD.